Applause to our beast incarnate, the alpha male of our species. Brock Lesnar has retired after SummerSlam, announcing it on Pat McAfee's show. And he kind of had that impression that the end was coming. There were rumors. So he kind of expected. The big whole thing was, it was in Minnesota where he had a lot of his collegiate career, that after the SummerSlam that he would retire. And he retires. 49 years old. Has been on our TV screen, since he was in his 20s. Very long time. And he's made a ton of money. A freak of a collegiate wrestling career. A dominant wrestling career in WWE. Then left WWE, became dominant in UFC. Helped bring the UFC to heights that it has not been at since he left, arguably, due to injury. Well, basically half his stomach was taken out, and after he left, UFC hasn't been the same. Just a man that when you looked at this dude, you're like, this dude could kick ass. This dude, and if you never knew who he was, just by looking at him, you'd be like, this dude is a somebody. He does something, and he probably makes a lot of money doing it. He had a reputation, I think, from the fans, like very early on, that he didn't care about wrestling. He was just there for the paycheck. Especially recently, maybe his outlook has changed, but I personally don't think that he never cared. I think he always cared. It's just that he drew a line when it came to wrestling as, okay, I'm a wrestler to a point. You know what I mean? Like there's to a point that he cared about wrestling, and then other things mattered to him more, such as his family. So he always drew a line between wrestling and family, and he always made it a point to let you know that family was utmost of importance to him. Here comes the pain. The next big thing. I remember early on his feuds with, Eddie Guerrero, back then, especially when he was younger. I remember him being champion. I remember his early days with Paul Heyman, and then reuniting with Paul Heyman later on when he returned. And when he returned, he was no longer full-time. He would come and he went, and he'd come and gone. But that tie that he had with Paul Heyman was something unmatched. Those two worked well together. Brock Lesnar. Paul Heyman was able to hide Brock Lesnar's weakness, which was talking on the microphone, which he would be probably the first one to tell you. But then, down the line, even Brock Lesnar was without Paul Heyman, and he was a face there for a while, and he actually did good on the microphone. It's like, a first run of Brock Lesnar, first half of career here, very stoic, very Then later on, when he came back, you've seen a different side of Lesnar. Maybe more of a gentle beast. And you even up until recently, you hear stories of how Brock Lesnar is one to always give advice and always help the talent in the back. Even did signings recently, I think. Now, granted, Brock is going to do it at his own terms, but even the signings, he did have a signing. I think it was like at a hardware store or something, but had a signing. So it's like, Brock Lesnar, maybe in his later years, he's only 49, got maybe a little bit softer or became a little bit more vulnerable. Word is, too, even with this last feud, that what Brock Lesnar basically does what he wants to do, right? To a point there, and that this Brock Lesnar, like handpicked Obafemi as the guy, the next thing. Went out of his way to even acknowledge that after their SummerSlam match. Brock Lesnar cares, and Brock Lesnar definitely showed Obafemi the ropes and some of the secrets and some of the things to know. I wouldn't even be surprised if Brock Lesnar pulled Paul Heyman aside and said, "Hey, do me a favor, watch over Obafemi, make sure this kid is okay." Kind of even got that impression with their brief interaction on Raw this past week between Obafemi and Paul Heyman. Right? Did you get that impression that maybe, could you see that maybe Brock Lesnar told, as they're walking through the airport, they're both about to board their flight, he tells Paul Heyman, "Watch over Obafemi for me." Can you see that? I could possibly see that happening. Brock did put his stamp of approval on Obafemi. Now, just on a side note, imagine if Paul Heyman looks as if he's, trying to lend his advice to Obafemi, gains Obafemi's trust, and then stabs him in the back and goes back to the Vision, with Braun Breaker and Oba having their thing now. Can you see that possibly happen from that snake Paul Heyman? Anyway, do I think Brock Lesnar is, by the way, Brock Lesnar and R-Truth, their interaction. Brock Lesnar, Mr. Perfect from back in the day, their interaction. Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker, their interaction. Brock Lesnar and John Cena. Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, their interaction. Classics. 49 years old, Brock basically saying that he's just going to watch and his kids do their thing, hockey, now with their sons, his daughter with the, track and field, I believe. Do I see Brock Lesnar coming out of retirement? I don't know. Brock Lesnar seems to be a man of his word. He gives me that impression. But there's a default kind of a thing, right, where all wrestlers get one more match type of a deal that's given as an okay, unwritten okay, even after retirement. Can I see the Prince of Saudi calling Brock Lesnar, giving him insane money to fight? Can I see him coming out? I don't know. Nonetheless, Brock Lesnar was definitely something special. And you're never going to see anything like a Brock Lesnar. Or will you? Maybe his own Oba. I mean, look, there's only one Oba and there's only one Brock. And all I know is that we have lost our beast incarnate to retirement, and you wish Brock Lesnar all the best in his future endeavors.